Welcome to the Weekly Wars podcast, where two guys who talk about Star Wars way too much have decided to record it and let you listen. Be sure to check every Wednesday to get the latest episode. And now to Zach and Rhett.
Hello and welcome to Weekly Wars, your weekly dose of all things Star Wars.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Rhett.
We're back. We had a little break.
Sorry about that hiatus.
Life is good, though. Things are okay. We're back. We're talking about Star Wars, so we're moving on.
Moving right along.
First of all, I think we should give a very quick update about how we're doing with our Star Wars madness predictions.
That might be worth going into.
I predicted Han was going to outdo Luke, and that did not happen.
Yeah, apparently not, which is super weird.
Yeah, that Luke won, and he's moving on. I think we're going to see Luke and Rey at the end of the light side.
I am totally feeling Rey for that one, especially because of how well she is doing against Leia right now. That's just crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. On the dark side, I thought Asajj was going to slip in and then lose to Maul, I think, but Palpatine did really well. Did Maul edge out Palpatine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next in that bracket of Darth Vader versus Maul, which is
in
pretty
the past,
interesting.
Darth Vader has always won, right?
Mm-hmm. He is the consistent winner of the dark side. Light side has switched up, but dark side, it's always... I guess there's the one time it was Boba Fett or something.
Boba Fett went pretty far.
Oh, no. Every year,
time it's been Vader.
Vader at the end. Vader's always championed the dark side, which is appropriate.
So it may be with some recent happenings and like the Clone Wars and Rebels and the fan film that just came out. Maybe Darth Maul will have enough popularity to sort of give him a push for Darth Vader. I doubt it, but you know.
Yeah, I guess you never know. But we shall definitely see.
But my prediction of Rey for the light side going all the way is still on track.
Yeah.
So my bracket's not completely ruined.
I do want to say I am supremely happy that Ahsoka won out versus BB-8.
Woohoo!
That was amazing.
That was so awesome.
It definitely was well-deserved, I believe. And also, I am a little sad that Poe lost to Leia. I get why, but Poe's cool. I would have liked to see him go further.
He's cool. I heard some new rumors about episode 8. Should I tell him on here?
No.
Okay, fine.
Spoiler free.
Spoiler free.
I mean, except
are we
for
spoiler free?
No, not
except
for
for
the
like
last
all
movie.
of our highlights or all of our podcasts.
Maybe we'll do a spoiler specific episode so people can be aware and choose not to listen.
Okay,
That'd
we'll
be
say we'll do a spoiler cast.
Spoilcast.
And we'll talk about episode 8. Okay, but what we wanted to talk about this week is we both recently picked up Battlefront. Now, we know the game came out last year.
It's been a minute.
But me and Rhett are old fogies, and we like to do that thing where we wait for the price to come down or where it's convenient for us to get the game as opposed to just buying it up front.
Yeah, and it's hard when you have other things in life that you want to do, like record podcasts, to find time to play video games.
Or like take care of your kids or something dumb like that.
I guess that's dumb. I don't know.
I don't have kids. I wouldn't know. But anyway, but it's actually good. We waited for the price drop to happen, and I kind of feel like that made it worth it. I think if I had paid the full $60 for the game at the time, I might not have gotten my full money out of the game, although me and my friends have played it quite a bit, so maybe. But just in terms of overall content and feel, it doesn't feel like it's a full game. There's not a single player mode. It's just playing online with maps.
Yeah, I think the amount of time I have put into it probably would have made it worth $60, but not the content. I totally agree on that, because it's just it would have been a $60 online play thing, only fighting against other people. That's kind of I don't know. That's always been in addition to games all throughout the last decade.
You
for
have
the most
the
part.
story mode, or your story mode. It can be played through an online mode, but there's something. This just has the survival missions,
right? Which can be fun, but again, there's no story. It's just you sit there and shoot computers
as they're running at you.
Yeah, I mean, that's all story mode is, but at least that gives you a reason to keep going on, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and I don't know what they would have done with the story mode, but they've had stuff in the past, and so it just feels like there's a big part of the game missing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the timeline they set it in, I don't have any immediate ideas besides stuff with like Rogue Squadron. I think Rogue Squadron would be a lot of fun to have as a story mode in that. But just the Battlefront title in general, I feel like they need to do a Clone Wars Battlefront, and you can play your story mission is you're an ARC trooper going throughout the Clone Wars campaign fighting against the Confederacy. I think that'd be amazing.
I would also love to see Force Awakens, but they said they don't plan to do any Force Awakens content for now. There might be a DLC in the future. They do have the Battle of Jakku, but technically that battle takes place, well, not technically, but that's set before the Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's still 30 years prior. So it's
like set up for something that where it takes place in the movie, but it's not.
You see the remains of it.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, as far as content goes, definitely more worth the $30 than the full $60. But I think that, I guess in like general feel of the gameplay, like when I first started playing it, before I sat down and really thought about some of it, I was like, this is awesome. This is like some of the older Battlefront games. Running around shooting blasters makes you feel like you actually are a stormtrooper sometimes.
And it's pretty smooth. Like the game, in terms of the actual just like running around and firing your gun, like pressing the buttons to do what you want to do, it does it.
Right. Responsive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very much so.
If you've played in a first-person shooter, you jump pretty much right into this. Me and you keep having issues because we play some other games where we forget which button does what, but that's just because we're playing another game where your melee attack is a bumper button instead of the joystick.
Right.
Or
it's
whatever.
kind of a weird shift in mindset, but overall it's not bad, and Battlefront does conform to the majority of other first-person shooters like Call of Duty stuff, so
yeah,
it makes it a fairly easy transition. And obviously those types of games have had a long time to refine their mechanics.
Yes,
So they have gotten to the point where they work pretty flawlessly with the majority of actions that you do.
In fact, I went back and I played Dark Forces not that long ago, just trying it out just to see what it was like. And oh my gosh, that was such a nightmare trying to turn. I mean, you didn't have the mouse.
Yeah.
You turned with the keyboard and that is it. Just being able to have a mouse or a joystick is like completely different experience.
Right. I recently was playing GoldenEye for N64, and it's amazing. I still love it, but it's just you forget how far things have come, how much has changed now that you have two joysticks and 75 buttons.
Yeah.
Just like so many differences, so that going back to play that, it's like, I forgot how to turn around the first time someone came up from behind. I'm like, I can't turn and shoot this guy.
Yeah.
So they have. So
it's good. It's solid. Like the gameplay in general is solid. We do have a couple minor complaints, but we'll get to that in a sec. I do like the ship combat. I feel like it's fairly minimalized in the game. and I wish they could expand on it. And I realize that could create an entirely different game, but I don't see why they couldn't create missions or tasks that the ships could accomplish to aid or to give a bonus to their allies.
Like
or
the survival. Oh, you mean within the multiplayer aspect?
Yeah, in the multiplayer.
No, I see what you're saying. That is a good point, because with the larger battles, you only have the option of air support. Like, you just have to fly by and shoot people on the ground. Whereas if they were to introduce that element of, like, go over here and fire at, like on the AT-AT one, you know,
yes,
that gives you something
that
else
gives
to
a
do
very
little bit.
small element.
Yeah.
That's at least something in one of the, how many, 16 different
game modes.
Yeah.
So I think that would be very interesting to have, like, you can be a part of and you can provide ground support, but to have separate tasks for someone up in the air would actually be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. I think that's something, and maybe they'll add that on in DLC in the future, because right now it's cool to hop in a ship. It's even cooler to get into Slave 1 and just shoot the crap out of everyone, or Millennium Falcon.
Right.
You just, like, blow people up left and right.
Yeah.
Just like in hero mode and on the ground combat.
Yeah, I would say the ship combat does flow pretty well. That I think has less to compare it to over the last little bit. You know, they have the flying games or the flight simulators and whatnot, but they're not nearly as prevalent as the first-person shooter. So it's on its own, though, it's a lot of fun, and to get in a ship, it is pretty awesome to get into those dogfights in the sky. And again, the controls are fairly simple for what you need to do. It doesn't take very long to be like, oh, this is how I do a barrel roll. That's awesome.
It's also lots of fun to crash into someone with your ship on the ground and blow them up. And then on the flip side, I always want to punch the screen when someone crashes their ship into me and kills me.
Because it's unavoidable.
It's like, you could have picked anyone, and you decided to crash your spaceship into me. Thanks, you turd.
Yeah, that's true. No, it is really funny. And like, the Empire has the ATST, and on the Rebel side, the equivalent of that is the airspeeder.
Airspeeder.
And I hate it when it happens to me, when I'm in an ATST and the airspeeder crashes into me, but I do love doing that. ATSTs, because you're just like, I know how to take that out.
I love the ATST, and I hate the airspeeder as a person controlling it. I cannot figure out the airspeeder. I always get too low, or I just don't feel like I have good control. But in the ATST, like, one time, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it just glitched, but I, like, spawned behind enemy lines in the ATST and was just blowing everyone up. And I went, like, 20-3 in that map just because I was blowing everyone up and my team won. So, yeah,
see,
I just,
I'm
destroyed.
The exact opposite.
Of
Every
course you
time I
are.
get in the ATST, I feel like I just die immediately. Like, I have no recourse. There's nothing I can do. With the airspeeder, you at least have the radar jamming and the speed boost, so that you can, I feel like I can do something to get out of the way of people trying to kill me.
Wow.
And you have the maneuverability, right? The maneuverability is not as good as the A-Wing or X-Wing or the TIE fighters, but you do have options. Whereas on the ATST, it's like, I can only move left, right, forward, or backwards. I don't know how to get out of the way of that guy trying to blow me up.
That is one thing. When it says enemy locking, I have no idea where they're locking on me from or who's locking on me. It's just like enemy locking, and I'm all like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna jump somewhere and hope that it's out of the way. Like, that's one thing I've been having an issue with.
Yeah, sometimes I think usually it has some sort of arrow cursor that shows
With it, well,
yeah, but it's
like the little red thing. It's like enemy locking, and then part of it's
it has the triangle section or whatever, half triangle.
I mean, it's so vague. It's like, off to the right, someone's locking onto you.
The best thing to do is just run away or try to
pretty
run
much.
behind a tree.
But it's hard when you're in an ATST. You're just kind of like, well, here comes a rocket.
There's nothing.
I become a fan of the long range weapons, which has become a love-hate relationship, but I don't use the oh gosh, what's their projectile one? The star card guns.
The cycler rifle.
Cycler. I don't use the cycler. I much rather would have shield or an ion blast, because my favorite thing is when someone throws up their shield and I ion blast and just take it out, and they're just standing there like an idiot because they think, oh, I'm protected.
Yeah, the ion is a lot of fun because people always, like, no one uses it. Which is really funny. It's one of the first things you can get, but no one ever actually has it equipped. So no one's expecting it. Everyone has personal shields, and then when their shield is down, they're just still trying to run up and melee you, and you're like, nope.
Nope, and you just take them. And it's so great, especially when they're trying to defend a control point, and they put up their shield, and they're all like, oh, we got this. You shoot it down, and then everyone nades them, and it's just like, they all die. Right. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and again, I am the complete opposite of you. I like the pistol that shoots 5 bursts, or a 5-round burst, and I just like
do that to me.
Leap into the middle of everything and start spraying all over, and it makes me so happy.
See, when someone gets the jump on me with a gun like that, I'm just super mad because I can't. I don't have a way to do anything.
Well, and that's all I do, especially with the jetpack. If someone's sniping at me, I just blast towards them because I know once I'm up that close, I don't even have to aim because the spread can, if you tweak the joystick right, the spread just gets everywhere, and you can take them out in 2 seconds.
Well, happy, and this illustrates one of the issues that we wanted to talk about. This is an issue I have, especially with my long-range blaster sniper rifle. The lead required for these laser guns is insane. And by lead, I mean, like, these blasters are so slow, you can dodge them. Like,
yeah, if you have enough distance and someone is aiming at you, you can totally dodge a blaster.
A blaster, like, it's so slow. And when I go and I fire at people, and I have to lead them, like, several inches, and by inches I mean on my screen, right? Like where I'm aiming and where the person is,
where you put the reticle,
that distance has to be that has to be several inches for me to hit them when they're moving. And I'm like, these laser blasts are so freaking slow. I mean, I've never had to lead like that in any first person shooter, so that's a really hard adjustment for me. If someone's standing still, I just take them out instantly. Like, it takes about 3 shots from long ranges, but I can fire them, fire, and they're just dead. But if they're moving, oh my gosh, it takes me like 20 shots, and by then someone else has spotted me firing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do pretty good, but oh gosh, that lead.
So yeah, and this is one of those things where you don't ever really see this play out in a movie unless in the movies, unless it's something fairly ambush heavy, I guess. Like whenever there's long range blaster firing, it's like Zam Wessel in Attack of the Clones. She has the targeting assist thing. Hers a projectile?
Or is it a blaster?
I'm pretty certain it's a blaster.
Okay.
I fairly specifically remember a blaster shot or a blaster sound when she shoots, but I could be wrong. I know that the Tusken Raiders use projectiles when they're shooting at the pod racers.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your point.
Yeah, so you don't really have a frame of reference for that. In the movies, you see blaster bolts, and they travel fairly slowly. Like it's, I think it's more a vestigial effect of special effects at the time, or just wanting to show, like, yes, they
so
are
the audience
shooting
can
lasers.
Actually see the lasers,
right? Because if you were to do it like bullet speed, then you have no idea people are shooting lasers, right? Because they're just shooting out so quick. You would basically see nothing, right? So I think they had to showcase that there's these bolts traveling, but it gives that because they're trying to replicate it in a game, it just changes the physics stuff to the point where it's like I am seriously beginning to wonder why anyone uses blaster rifles in the Star Wars universe. It doesn't make sense to me. For what? I mean, like you said, sometimes even if someone's standing still, it takes a couple of shots to drop
take them out, yeah.
And it's like, Well,
if you can use a projectile to just blast them out of whatever.
Yeah, and even just like not talking about real world, but comparing it to the other FPSs, almost any gun that you get a headshot with, they're done instantly. But in Star Wars or in Battlefront, like,
you do
headshots
extra
don't do anything.
damage, but yeah, like and it's lucky if you get a headshot. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's super hard. And on top of that, I don't really understand like the difference in the power of the weapons. Like I mean, on a basic level, it probably depends on how much of a power source each weapon has. But in real world and in other first-person shooters, you have different sizes of bullets, which is a very shorthand way of trying to describe ballistics, because ballistics is a very complicated subject, but it determines how effective a round is going to be, depending
but if you
on
have
size,
a laser
velocity.
that cuts through people,
right? And it's like,
does having more energy in that laser make it cut through any better?
Yeah, and so why does it take 6 shots from a blaster pistol to the head to kill someone in Battlefront, or 3 shots from a blaster rifle? Like, where's the difference? Especially the ranges that you're using that, because a rifle, you're obviously a farther range, so it has less velocity. But I don't know. Anyways, it's a very complicated thing, but it's like you don't really have a reference point just playing the game for why one weapon is less powerful and less damage dealing than another. And
other than they've decided that's how it is.
Right. It's because they have to base it on other first-person shooters where they have those parameters because of real-world parameters. So, you know, it's just there.
It's there.
Because, and it would probably be a really weird game if you had blaster pistols that can do as much damage as full-on rifles, but...
And I guess, I mean, even looking at the guns that are available, most everyone I see only use a few of the guns. Like, a lot of them just basically go unused.
Yeah, there is a large number of guns that nobody even touches. I mean, like, at least half of them you don't ever see anyone carrying.
They're because of similar things to what you're saying. In the end, they just aren't that different.
Yeah.
And they don't offer too much of an added benefit over something else. It's just not worth whatever the negative is. And maybe that's true in a ton of other FPSs, but I don't think so. In Counter-Strike, all sorts of different people use different guns for different reasons. But also, that was also money-based, too. So, like, from round to round, you're like, well, this is all I can afford.
Right.
So I'm getting this gun because it's better than my pistol. It's not as good as my AK or my M4, but it's all I can afford.
The last dedicated FPS I played... I don't even know. It was like Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3 or something.
You're doing Division.
So it's like, yeah, that's...
And Destiny.
But Division is completely different because Division is MMO status, so it takes a full clip to kill one dude.
Okay.
So it's, you know, I mean, if you're lucky, if you can actually hit the guy, it takes a full clip. But yeah, like the type of FPS that Battlefront is trying to emulate.
Yeah.
It is...
and it doesn't have the round-around weapon purchase. It's once you've opened it up once, you can use it forever.
Yeah. So it's just, as far as the gameplay goes, it's sometimes frustrating, but I don't think it detracts overall just because they just had to do it. It's just a funny thing that I've noticed while playing it. It's like, if I was in Star Wars, I would just use bullets all the time, and apparently would do so much better than everyone else.
And like we said, in the end, it's pretty flawless and a lot of fun. This is just a couple nitpicks, basically.
Right, and it's not the mechanical aspects that I have a problem with. It's just the behind the scenes stuff, I guess, I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Which that also goes into... like all the characters that you can get in that. Like in play, it's totally fine. They just released the DLC where you can play as Greedo. In play, I don't really have a problem with that because that's cool. But in the actual storyline, it's like there's no way Greedo should even be a thing. And why would they even choose Greedo as their DLC
That is what's funny.
character?
Yeah, they just released the Outer Rim DLC, and what is it, $15 or something?
Yeah.
They added a Jabba's Palace map and Greedo and
Nyum.
yeah,
Or however you say, I don't know.
the little alien dude, which I think
The
is an
Solist.
even more bizarre choice than Greedo.
Well, see, I'm okay with it because he's actually alive for like the duration of the films. I mean, you don't see him in the
That's
first
true.
two, but he's
in
alive.
Return of the Jedi.
Right. Greedo's dead within 30 minutes.
Is he dead? Is he?
Han shot first, Zach. I don't know if you know this, but nerd up.
I'm not refuting that he shot first. I'm saying everyone comes back to life in all of these universes somehow.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yep.
That's the main villain. That's who Benicio del Toro is playing in episode 8.
He's playing Greedo. Return for revenge. And then
Return
he's
of
all
the
like
Greedo.
he's like coming to get Han Solo the whole movie, and at the end he's all like, now where's Han Solo? And the people are like, he's dead, and he's like, what?
This is like the terrible comedy version of it, because like the whole movie, Kylo Ren's trying to tell him, no, wait, I killed him, and he's like, but before
Something
it gets
always
to that point,
interrupts,
he's
or-
like, no,
Or the
whatever.
resistance
Yeah.
attacks right when he's about to tell him, and then
He's like, no, you couldn't kill the girl. There's no way you could kill Han Solo.
I don't know. I mean, technically, in some of those battles, Darth Vader would be dead. The Emperor would be dead.
Luke is not on.
Luke is gone for some of those battles.
Yeah, or like he's wearing the wrong stuff or has the wrong lightsaber, because like he either has his Hoth outfit with the first lightsaber, or he's in his Return of the Jedi outfit with the green lightsaber. And some of the battles, it's like, what makes you say he'd be doing that right then? Like, I think some of the Hoth battles, you get to be him in his Return of the Jedi outfit, and it's like,
Yeah, I think so. I think there's
or maybe it's the game mode, not the battle.
Maybe it is. I can't remember.
Map.
But regardless, so it is just, it's cool that they're doing Outer Rim. Boba Fett was there already, but I think they could have done someone like Vosk.
Yeah, and that would make sense. Well, and yeah, like
Or
that's the other
Asajj
thing.
Ventress. Can you imagine if she was the one they
goodness.
released for the Outer Rim? Because she leaves and becomes a bounty hunter. She totally could have been who they stuck in, and that would have pulled in a whole different demographic of people.
Yeah, that's totally true. But that does bring up the other point. Like, you don't get any sense of implied skill from Nien or Greedo. Like, Nien, he's cool because he's Lando's partner, right? Or he's Lando's co-pilot. So it's like, oh, he's probably a cool guy, but he's only a co-pilot. It's not like it. Like in Battlefront, he freaking calls in orbital strikes and drop mines and stuff like that. And it's like, I didn't get any sense of that from the movies. And the same thing with Greedo. Like, Greedo's obviously a terrible bounty hunter. Like, there's no reason why he should be so good that he's running with Boba Fett, because he's obviously not that good in the movies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Greedo like just saw the posting for Han Solo's bounty and then walked into the cantina and was like, "Oh, that was lucky."
Have you one of the Star Wars fan films from the competition last year is about that? Did you see that?
No,
Okay,
that's
super
hilarious.
funny. For anyone who's interested, on the Star Wars website, they have a whole bunch of fan films that were submitted to the competition last year. And one of them is very funny because it's about Boba Fett teaching or giving pointers to Greedo before he faces Han Solo. And it's pretty funny. I think it's a stop motion animation
Nice.
that the guy did, and I believe it won like best comedy or something for the fan film, which makes sense because it's pretty flippin' funny.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and we'll have to review that in one of our future episodes where we go in and review Star Wars fan films.
Absolutely. We got a few more minutes, so let's talk about sound first.
I like the sound of the whole game. I mean, like, if there's anything that can really set apart the world of Star Wars, it's the sound. The way the blasters sound, the way the bombs sound, the way the ships sound. Like, when you jump in a TIE fighter and you hear the screech of the twin ion engines, it's just like, yeah, I can get into that.
It is. It's pretty awesome. I think the sound was pretty flawless. I mean, the blasters sound like the blasters. Han's blaster sounds like Han's blaster.
Right. They even have those distinctive sounds of, like the machine gun blasters that you can get, the DLT-19 or whatever, sound like what the Stormtroopers use in a couple of the movies. So it's...
And they have their
distinctive.
E11 blaster.
Yeah.
Which is a little more automated, but not quite as accurate. But it sounds like it, and it... I don't know. Yeah, I thought they nailed it. The characters or the heroes that you can play at different points, they have good voice acting for them.
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job.
With that. Vader and Palpatine, both, the little phrases that they say are a lot of fun. I do like the individualized phrases they have when you play as a hero and you see an opposing hero on the other team.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett's one is when he sees Han Solo, he's like, "You're mine now, smuggler," or something like that. I think that's pretty fun. I did remember a point I wanted to bring up as far as the weapons go.
Sure.
I don't feel like the thermal detonator...
Oh, is nearly as awesome as it should be.
Yeah, like when Leia busts it out in Return of the Jedi, it's like, that thing's probably pretty powerful.
I feel
everyone's
the same way.
Terrified.
Like, I think it should have been the thermal imploder, no doubt.
That's
what in the game.
Yeah, they should have had some other type of grenade for the thermal detonator.
I actually feel this way about all games that have the thermal detonator, though. Like Knights of the Old Republic, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Jedi Knight 2 and Jedi Knight and Jedi Knight 2, both of those.
Yeah.
It's just like a little explosion.
Yeah, and I'm sure when they were making this, that was the precedence that they were going with, is that's what it's like in these other games, so that's what we're going to make it like here. And it's like, the way that everyone freaks out when she pulls that out and arms it,
you assume that the whole place is about to go down if she pulls it.
Right. That's like a significant thing. I don't know. I've been around live frag grenades, and it's not like I was like, oh, holy crap, this is, it's terrifying because it could kill you, but it's not like you're going to blow everything into a giant crater.
But that's how they reacted to it. And then in games, it's just like, and yeah, the fact that they have the thermal imploder, which is like
insanely
devastating,
powerful.
Like shakes your controller and it's loud and you hear it
pulls you through a wall, like the I don't know, anti-gravity or whatever sucks you into it. It's like, holy crap. And that's what the thermal detonator should have been.
That's what I would have assumed, but
mind cannon that. Anyway, sorry.
Mind cannon accepted. Well, the last thing I want to say is the graphics are just freaking beautiful. And Rhett's playing on the Xbox One and I'm playing on the PS4, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think on both systems. I think we've talked about how the PS4, it looks a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, it looks like it's not... Yeah, like it has slightly higher resolution.
Right, but even then, like, the vistas are just amazing. I think one of my favorites is the map with the sand crawlers. I can't remember its name, but it's like the Jawa scavenger, whatever.
Right.
There's a sand crawler, and you're on a cliffside. My favorite thing to do on that map when I'm not getting shot at is to look out on this city that's sitting on a freaking mountain across the way. Like, I want a movie in that thing. They have just opened up this whole possibility of what you could find on Tatooine. Like a city on a freaking, I don't know, it's built into and on top of that mountain, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, if nothing else, if you're not going to play it, have a friend, go to a friend's house or something and check it out, because... I mean, it's really gorgeous. I guess they used some new method of taking actual photos of things and like laying it over the landscape, so it's like really high quality.
Yeah.
I don't know how it all worked. I haven't researched the technology, but they touted it. And, and it looks good.
It pays off. I mean, in a lot of the maps, you look up at the sky and there's sky battles taking place over you, so you can see Star Destroyers firing laser blasts into Mon Calamari cruisers, and just like you can even see little ships flying around doing their whole thing up in the sky over you, and that I think that totally lends to the immersion of the game.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Like, yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Like 10 out of 10 for graphics. Like
10 out of 10, 7 out of 5.
7 out of 5. Did you want to add anything else about Battlefront? Do you want to give a final score?
Yeah, I think as of right now, depending on what the other DLCs do, what heroes and maps and stuff that they add, right now I'd probably give it 6.5 out of 10.
That's meaner than me.
I
But
mean,
it does. I think a lot it has to be said about what's going to come in the DLC.
right. It totally depends on that to me. I mean, I think part of the reason is just because I am slightly disappointed in the characters that they released. Like for their first DLC, you choose 2 super whatever guys. Like I have no feelings about them whatsoever.
Right,
I'm
pretty
not
much.
excited, and it's not like I hate them. It's just like, why? Like if you had done like you said, Vosk would have been cool. IG-88 would have been awesome.
IG-88, yeah.
Chewbacca, why the flip can you not play as Chewbacca yet? I mean,
Well,
Lando Calrissian.
and like
Come
I said,
on.
I know they're not doing Force Awakens, but they aren't following continuity with the characters anyways. Throw in Finn and Rey,
Right.
like or Kylo.
Yeah,
Like
Kylo would be a lot of fun.
Would love the
Phasma would
crap
be
out of that.
awesome.
Yeah. You'd
Traitor.
actually get to experience a little traitor. You'd get to experience what Phasma can do instead of just briefly appearing in the film and getting thrown down a garbage chute.
Right.
So, so I gave it a 7 out of 10 just because of the lack of single player content.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like I don't think saying like it's not a perfect game because I can't do everything in it. But for just if I have 45 minutes to kill,
It's
then,
perfect for that.
yeah, you jump on and you blow up some stormtroopers and
Or rebel scum.
keep remembering things. As far as the sound goes, the musical themes that they play whenever one team achieves something is just awesome. Like it feels so amazing when you're stormtroopers and you capture a control point and then it plays the Imperial March. I love it.
Well, and there's some reactions that happen when all that happens too, like the explosions and impacts from progressing or people dropping an orbital strike, all that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
event sounds are pretty
On point.
pretty good.
7 out of 5.
7 out of 5. So there you go. I give it a 7. Rhett gives it a 6.5. But we're hoping that they're going to add some more cool stuff.
Death Star should be fun.
Death Star DLC's next coming up. So yeah, there you go. That's our thoughts on Battlefront. If you haven't bought it, I think it's worth buying it if you can find a $30 sell. I think the price fluctuates, but
I think it's back up to 60 now, but as of just like 2 weeks ago, it was at 30, and a couple weeks before that, it was at $30. So
right. So it's different times on different systems, and I'm sure it'll have a permanent price drop. But I think it's worth $30 easy.
absolutely.
All right. Well,
We will catch you next week, and may the Force be ever in your favor.